61. You know, going back to 300 keys feels so good. Whenever I get close down to like 200, it feels terrible. Just saying. Cause like, you can tell from like, let's say my pushes now are reaching the close to 200 attempts, right? So you need roughly the 200 keys, or else it's just not motivating to play when you don't have that flexibility of keys. I just can't stand that. Especially, you know, especially when you're like so far into the season already. Early seasons, like 50 keys is like a lot, right? I can't stand going down way low. It's like when you get to play with other people and then you're also out of keys. That just feels, you know, kind of silly. I mean, if you don't have the time to play, that's a different story. But like you want to play with other people, but then you end up having a lack thereof. That's when it's like it feels really silly. So 200 is actually not even a lot, because if you want to play with other people, you need to have a certain amount on top of that. And when we talk about playing with other people, you know, it's, you know, depending on the rules, I guess, but, you know, let's say even 30 minutes, depending on how fast people play on whatever tier it is, then you need the same amount of keys to fit that. So if it's faster runs, then you need, you know, let's say you have 50 keys only. If it's the actual under 2-minute stuff, then that's more than half of 50 keys. Then you have nothing to work with for your own self. So that's where my point comes in. So for example, the other example I can pull off is, it's like once you get to the point where like your paragons don't match GR90s, unless, you know, you also play an alt and you're working on a character that has gearing potential that isn't marginal, or if someone else farmed the keys for you, right? So let's say you farm keys together, but the other person is the faster person farming keys for you, right? So let's say he's using the Crusader, he or she's using the Crusader, and then she's the one that gets the Rift Guardian a lot. So then that stack of keys can be spent for GR90 where needed. But then, potentially speaking, if no one needs GR90s, then you make use of the keys better, right? So it's like the number of keys have to make sense for what you're doing. So 200 is really not a lot if you have to account even for speedruns. For like, you know, gearing wise. Because if you have to spend on GR90s, so even the holiday gifts, right? If you're doing the low GR method and using the GR method and the low GR method, then you need, you know, X amount of keys to make up for that 200 gifts, right? So if it's 200 of those GR2 or whatever people are doing, then you need 200 keys worth to do 200 gifts for the GR method, right? So you need, in addition to however many keys you want to play with, you need 200 for that specific objective on top of. It's not just because that method exists that, oh, you don't need keys for that. Well, you need keys for that method. Otherwise, you might as well, you know, do the slow way and gain more multitasking. Because if you don't have the keys for opening 200 GR2s, might as well open 100 GR90s. You get your gear if you need it, and the gifts of 90, right? Because GR90 is the bare minimum, so you multitask. And speaking of getting the gear, you also get spares, so that when you reforge, you don't reforge just one. You may potentially get the GR90 to drop you 2 of the same drops that help with the reforging that you need from the gifts, so that you're not just reforging one. Because sometimes you reforge one, it has decent stats, you want to like potentially keep it, unless all you're targeting is the primal, then you just keep spamming the one until you get until you see a red, right? But that's if you're looking for the red. If you're not necessarily looking for the red, even an ancient one can roll well. Well, if you roll past too quickly, you missed it.
I'm still waiting. Vengeance! Need more time. I am returning to town.
Impressive.
Nice. Haven't had this map in a long time.
I'm still waiting. Not ready yet. Need more time.
That's a lot of birds.
more. I need more time.
70 something million. Just zigzagging this.
You won't survive that.
The Rift Guardian.
I'm still waiting.
Oh.
Darkness awaits you. Vengeance. Not ready yet. I need more time. Feel my wrath. My pack is full.
Aw. Okay.
I am returning to town. I need to go back.
A fine battle.
Pants. $62, $6. 12. Aw, come on. Bad COEs today. Terrible pants.